I'm sorry in advance if this video is a little sloppy. I kind of realized I don't actually like making videos. It takes way too much time to get even basic stuff done. But I wanted to give a quick update on my FSR pad and talk about a new project that I'm working on. So, how has my FSR pad performed over the last couple months? Well, it's been pretty great actually. Since that video, I put some stickers on it where the paint was all messed up. I've been playing with it like full time now, and recently I just passed my first no bar 19 on it. So the performance of it is great. I love the way it feels, and I love the way it plays, and it's an arcade pad with FSRs. What more can you ask for? Another cosmetic thing that I did was I changed the window film on the top to white. Before I had this kind of like diffused clear shower thing, and now I'm using just like a white matte looking film. It makes the panels look more white, but I did it because it more evenly distributes the light from the accent lights. I like it. Now, is there anything I don't like about the pad that I've experienced? Not really. It's pretty great. I'm actually like super happy with it, and it really beat my expectations by a lot. The only things I can think of is really problems I haven't had yet. Like eventually, when I replace the sensors, the way I did the sensors is I kind of sandwiched them in between tape and a Velcro, and I cut it to size, and I had to do this weird thing where I turned the wire, around 180 degrees and shrunk wrap it. So when I have to get to the point where I make new sensors, I have to like pull out all the soldering equipment and stuff and make them again. That's going to be some time. It would be really nice if I designed it in a way where I could just throw in, a sensor off the shelf, and it would make things easier to maintain. But I haven't actually needed to replace any of my sensors. It's been a few months. I've used the pad a lot, and I haven't noticed any problems with the sensors. So, fingers crossed, but I'm hoping to get a year or more out of these sensors before I have to change them, or who knows, maybe even longer. We'll see. But the big problem is the bar. Look, I've been a no bar player for a while. I'm chill with not using the bar. It looks kind of stupid. I'm swinging my arms around and stuff. But at some point, it would be cool if I could get back to using the bar. If I ever did decide to use the bar again, I just couldn't do it on this pad. The DDR bar, with how my body is shaped, just does not work with my body. It just feels too short. It feels too small. My shoulders have to go way too far back in order to reach it. It's the same height as the pump it up in ITG bars, but just that extra little bit that it's missing in the width just makes it feel so much smaller. There's no way I could hold the bar on this pad. So yeah, if I had any complaints about my FSR pad setup, it's that the bar sucks donkey dick. Now, what I could do is I could do the PVC mod, which is where you buy a PVC pipe at Home Depot and you somehow attach it like on top of the DDR bar. Maybe you tape it on or you use like hose clamps, and then you can actually just hold the sides of the PVC. I think Brand started this. He was the first one I know of, and a bunch of other people have copied him. And I could do that. It looks a little janky, and I just imagine like holding the sides of the PVC would just feel a little weird. That's an option, but I think I have a better idea. Have you ever seen those extra bars that I use on some of my streams? Well, those are actually SMX prototype bars that Kyle sold me a long time ago. I bought them to try to retrofit into my Dedicab, but I couldn't figure out a way to do it that wasn't obscenely expensive. These bars have a flange that mates perfectly to a flat surface. If I could build a new, simple pad, mounting these bars might not be too hard at all. And then I'd have a pad with what I believe is the most comfortable bar out there, an SMX bar. So that'd be cool, but there's also another reason why I kind of want to make a new pad. Some parts are becoming available that I think are going to make it easier for people to make DIY pads, and I kind of want to just test that out. So here's what I'm thinking. These things I call switch frames. They come from a DDR, ITG, or the center of a pump it up machine. These parts screw down to the pad frame, and the panel brackets screw into them to hold the panel in place. But these are real arcade parts, so you might think that they're pretty expensive. Normally this would be true, but something that's going on right now is making these dirt cheap. Someone named Ashley Philbrick is making a new version of these parts with bracketless panels. These bracketless setups are, well, bracketless, which allows the panels to be flush and the panel to be square, unlike normal panels which have the corners cut off for the brackets. So this is an upgrade for people with arcade machines, if a truly square, flush panel is what you're after. This means that people are removing these pieces and reselling them as they move to bracketless setups, increasing the availability of these parts. Additionally, the bracketless setups will also be an option, so there's an abundance of parts that do this job now on the market. I think that the switch frame is the piece that really does the hard part of a pad. It holds the spacing of each of the panels, holds the panel in place, and it holds and locates the sensor. If you took a bunch of these and screwed them down to a platform, you'd pretty easily have an arcade-sized pad that could take real arcade parts. So anyways, I acquired some extra switch frames to try to convert my FSR pad to a 9-panel pad for fun. But after some thought, I love it so much as is, I don't want to mess with it. So that really got me thinking about making a new pad, but this time from scratch. The first problem I'd have to solve is what I would use as the pad frame. I was thinking that I would use a piece of flat wood or build a frame out of wood, but I actually don't have many woodworking tools, so this isn't particularly easy for me to do. Also, normally dance pads stand on leg levelers, so height can be adjusted and tuned to an uneven floor. But a wood slab or a wood frame might not be strong enough to be supported by 4 points and not flex or bow, especially over time. I don't know, man. I'm not an engineer. I could put a wood slab directly on the floor without levelers, but then I couldn't level it, obviously, and would need to make sure the floor is perfectly flat. I didn't really like that idea. So I started to think about a metal fabrication shop, having them make me a frame from scratch. I drew up a design out of box tubing, and I quickly found out it was super expensive. I think one guy told me like almost $800 for what I wanted, which was a really dumbed down version of a DDR frame. That's way too expensive. After speaking to some other fab shops, someone helped me come up with a design that was a lot cheaper. We ended up taking a 1/4-inch steel plate and welding some lips around the edges. I was worried there could be a little bit of wobble in the steel plate, particularly in the center, so we added a 5th leveler right in the middle. All in all, this design cost me $330 to make. I think it looks pretty good, but that's really as far as I'm at. At this point, I kind of have to figure out how to do everything else. I need to accurately drill and tap a bunch of holes for the switch frames to bolt into. I have to figure out if I'm going to sandblast the switch frames or if I'm just going to like clean them up with a wire brush, and if I want to paint them. I normally leave the center brackets off so that the top of the switch frame is actually a part that like my foot slides over. So I was thinking if there's paint there that might cause a problem. So I don't know, I might not paint them or maybe I'll mask that part off. I gotta figure out how to route wires to all these panels without as much clearance under the panel as a normal pad, because remember, this is just a flat piece of metal. I also have to see if the final height of the bar is going to be too low, given that it's mounted lower compared to the top of the panel than it is on a normal pad. I'm pretty confident that I can raise the bar by just cutting some steel shims if it turns out to be too low, so I'm not that worried about it. But I also have to figure out how to either drive 9 RGB lights or 18 single color lights from a single Arduino, which is going to be challenging. And finally, as cool as a 9-panel pad sounds, and I definitely want to try it and give Rhythm Horizon a real try as well, as cool as that is, I want to make a metal center panel. And figuring out how to do that is going to be tricky because I don't have any more of the frames that normally support the center panel, which is different from the switch frame that holds the plastic panel. So I might have to fabricate something there as well. But apart from those unknowns, I mean, the rest of this is kind of exactly what I did before, just with more panels. So I think this is totally viable. And, maybe you don't go as crazy as I do and build this, $300 frame, but, maybe somebody could replicate this, but using just a piece of plywood. Who knows? But one thing that's going to be a little different this time is I'm not going to go like all in and just make this pad in a like couple weeks and just get it all done. I did that last time because I hurt my ankle and I couldn't play. This time I'm going to take a lot longer and just kind of do it a couple hours here and there when I have time. which is a little bit rare. So I was thinking that this could be like a little bit of a build series, and just as I have updates, I'll put out a new video, and maybe this series will end up being 4 or 5 videos. So yeah, if you're interested in how this turns out, or if you're not and you want to see if I just fail miserably, then yeah, subscribe. See ya.